The shocking truth in Mark's Gospel, unveiling secrets you never knew at 3 a.m. In the dim glow of the flickering streetlight, a voice echoed through the empty streets of Millstone, casting a chilling atmosphere over the unsuspecting town. "You won't believe what we found," Danny exclaimed, his eyes wide and electric with excitement. It was 3 a.m., the witching hour, and they were standing outside the old church, the place where, according to urban legend, the divine and the damned intertwined. This wasn't just a drip of water running from the church's rusty spires. It was the eerie sound of what could only be described as secrets begging to be heard. Peering through the crack-stained glass, they spotted the ancient scriptures that had been hidden for centuries, dusty and forgotten. But it wasn't just dusty old pages they found. There were strange marking symbols twisting like serpents, speaking volumes of forgotten rituals. They could almost feel the air thicken, pulse with energy, as if time itself held its breath waiting for them to uncover the truth. What did it all mean? A shiver ran down their spines, twisting tighter like a noose. As Danny recited fragments of the verses, fervor in his voice, the shadows around them seemed to sway. A distant howl broke the silence, causing them to jump. "Did you hear that?" Sarah whispered, her heart racing. The wind rustled the leaves like whispers of long-lost souls. The chill gnawed at them, but the lure of the unknown kept them rooted in place, a magnetic pull they couldn't resist. "We have to know more," she insisted. "Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." The air was thick with tension as they realized they weren't alone. A figure appeared at the edge of the churchyard, cloaked in shadow, watching them with eyes that glinted like daggers in the dark. Danny's voice trembled. "Who's there?" No answer came, just silence, weighted like a stone. The shadows shifted, and the figure took a tentative step toward them. Heart pounding, Sarah's breath caught. Was this the spirit of a long-forgotten apostle or something more sinister? The truth was lurking, just beyond their grasp, promising revelations that could shake their very souls. What awaited them behind that church door? The night was young, but they had uncovered something ancient and powerful, and they were about to step into a world they never knew existed. Sarah's heart raced as she took a cautious step back, the shadowy figure looming ever closer. The air crackled with an unshakable energy, like the moments before a storm. She exchanged a quick glance with Danny, their unspoken fears spiraling between them. "Let us get out of here," she whispered, but the words barely left her lips before the figure spoke. "Curiosity often leads to ruin," a low voice echoed, dark and layered like the depths of night. It had an otherworldly tone that sent a chill racing along her spine. The figure advanced, revealing a face obscured under a heavy hood. Glimmers of what seemed to be darkness curled around like smoke, and Sarah felt her stomach drop. What was this entity? Danny bravely stepped forward, fueled by reckless excitement. "What do you mean?" "We're just trying to understand." His bravado was shaky, but the fire of discovery kept pushing him forward. The figure paused, seemingly considering whether to share its hidden knowledge. "The truths you seek are not for the faint of heart. They are the echoing cries of the forsaken, and they demand a price," it warned, the weight of its words hanging heavily in the air. "What price?" Sarah spat out, gasping between each frightened breath. Each word felt like a challenge, daring the figure to reveal itself. A hollow laugh reverberated through the silence, twisting like the branches of the gnarled trees surrounding the church. "Sacrifice is the key. Knowledge gained without cost leaves you stranded in a web of half-truths," the figure retorted, its form rippling like a mirage. Danny's voice cracked. "What kind of sacrifice?" But before an answer came, a blaring sound broke the tension, the church bells tolling. With each clang, Sarah felt the ground beneath her tremble, vibrating with an urgency that sent a jolt of instinct racing. "We need to go!" she shouted, grabbing Danny's arm, her instincts screaming at her to escape the churchyard. But the figure raised a hand, blocking their path with a swift, fluid motion. Now they could see a glint of something metallic, a dagger clenched tightly in its fist, a warning, a promise, or perhaps a curse. Danny stepped back, fear thrumming through him. We can't just run. We have to know what this all means." The desperation in his voice was palpable, pulling them both tighter into the gravity of the moment. "Then know this," the figure sneered, unrelenting, "every answer comes with a darkness you'll wish you'd never faced." The warning hung in the air, ominous and tangible, like the smothering fog that blanketed the town. Sudden whispers began to swirl around them, strange languages entwined with the cries of the no longer silent souls yearning for resolution. Shadows danced just beyond the light, hinting at tales unspoken. The night seemed to close in, the very fabric of reality bending, and a sharp knowledge pierced the air their fates were interlinked with the secrets held within those ancient pages. Feeling the push of unseen forces, they prepared to bolt when the cloaked figure lunged forward, its voice sharp like shards of glass. "Tonight you will choose your fate." Sarah and Danny exchanged a frantic glance, hearts in their throats. Stay and uncover the horrifying truths, or flee and forever wonder what lay beyond that door. The church loomed, a grotesque portal of infinite possibilities, and they stood paralyzed in its shadow. As the echo of the church bells faded, a horrific thought loomed overhead: what if the darkness embraced them both? But could they truly walk away once they had tasted the forbidden knowledge? Only one option remained, and they had to make a choice and fast. What lay hidden behind the church doors, waiting to be unearthed? Danny's breathing quickened, echoing the rapid thumps of his heart. He turned to Sarah, desperation glimmering in his eyes. "What if we just ask?" he blurted, his voice trembling but ignited by boundless curiosity. "No, Danny." "You heard what it said," Sarah snapped back, her tone sharp and pleading. Each moment stretched before them, a fraying thread begging to be drawn taut. But the pull of mystery was potent. It wrapped itself around their senses, overwhelming and intoxicating. The hooded figure watched, its featureless face betraying nothing. "The price must be paid in blood or in truth," it rasped, each word laced with dark promise. A sense of dread washed over Sarah as she felt the words slice into her resolve. Fleeing now felt like a betrayal, not just of her instincts but also of the truth that beckoned. Torn between terror and temptation, Danny took a daring step forward. "What do you want from us? Just tell us." A long sigh escaped the figure, a sound that resonated deep in their bones. "Knowledge is a hex, an ancient curse that entwines itself around the souls of the seekers. But if you truly wish to learn, follow me. Choose wisely. The shadows are listening." In that chilling moment, the decision crystallized. With every heartbeat, the pulse of the night deepened, thickening the fog that cloaked the churchyard. Sarah glanced at the looming structure, a sanctum of secrets and threats, and felt an unsettling urgency prickle at her skin. "I wouldn't let you go in alone," she whispered fiercely, tightening her grip on Danny's arm. Together, they stepped toward the figure, each advance slicing through the suffocating fog. The cloaked one turned, leading them into the yawning maw of the church's entryway. Shadows writhed within, twisting and winding like tendrils reaching for warmth. Inside, the air grew heavy, thick with a taste of iron and despair. Flickering candles cast uneasy shadows that danced across stone walls, illuminating remnants of what once was a treasure trove of the unimaginable. Old, crumbling books lined the wooden shelves, their spines cracked and covered in dust, as if waiting for a brave soul to uncover their tales. "Choose," the figure commanded previously, now a whisper. It gestured toward the numerous books. "Each holds a story, a truth, a consequence. Open one, and you will invite the darkness within." "What do you mean, invite?" Danny's voice trembled, a ripple of fear echoing in the vast silence of the church. "Each truth extracts a price," the figure replied, the darkness curling around it as it spoke. "You may gain knowledge, but something precious will be lost in return." The chilling honesty swept over Sarah like ice water. The thought that she could lose something fundamental felt unbearable. But what lay in those books? Could answers to their questions really be found? A blind yearning urged her closer. What if we read one together? What will happen? Only the willing can bear the weight of knowledge. And not just the truth will shift. A haunting silence stretched as Danny and Sarah exchanged glances, fear and thrill colliding in their chests. They had already stepped down a dangerous path, and every heartbeat pounded louder, whispering secrets of dread. Danny broke the tension, leaning forward, scanning the shelves. This one, he said, picking up a book that looked more ancient than the others, its cover adorned with symbols that seemed to shimmer. As he opened it, a gust of wind howled through the church, as if warning them of the storm about to break. The pages fluttered wildly, and an eerie glow radiated from its depths. Sarah felt herself being pulled closer, her heart racing, the stakes rising. Danny! Wait, she urged, holding her breath, but it was too late. With a sharp gasp, the chill in the air intensified, and the shadows writhed eagerly, releasing a pulse of suffocating energy. The world around them began to shudder as if responding to the book's unveiling. What grim truths would they awaken, and at what cost? As the book opened wider, the shadows leaped into a frenzy, swirling around Danny and Sarah in a wild dance of dark energy. It felt like the very walls were closing in, the air brimming with electricity and dread. The ancient symbols on the cover glowed brighter, pulsating in rhythm with their racing hearts. "Close it!" Sarah screamed, but her words were swallowed by the howling wind that rushed through the empty church. It felt alive, a sentient thing, responding to the unleashed truth within those pages. Danny, gripped by a force he couldn't comprehend, stared into the open text. Words twisted and morphed, a live tapestry of chaos and revelation. He couldn't look away, fascinated yet terrified. "I can't. I have to see." "No! It's too dangerous." Sarah's voice cracked with fear, but Danny was lost in the lucid nightmare unfolding before him. Suddenly, the whispers began soft at first, then rising in a crescendo. They seemed to echo from the very stones of the church. The price with each repetition, a pulse throbbed through the air, shaking the foundation and their resolve. As Danny's finger traced the ink, tendrils of light shot from the pages, ensnaring him in a spectral grip. "What's happening?" Sarah fumbled back, panic seeping into her bones. She had to act, to save him from the consuming shadows, but she felt their cold breath wrapping around her as well. "Stay back!" Danny barked, trying to shake off the darkness that clung to him like a second skin. The words he read morphed into figures, shadows solidifying into grotesque forms that flickered at the edges of reality. Fear twisted into something else, something exhilarating, and he felt his resolve waver. "In this realm, truth is currency," came the voice of the hooded figure, its presence looming larger, as Danny sank deeper into the words on the page. "More than truth shall you uncover." "Danny!" Sarah cried, reaching for him, her hands trembling as the air thickened with dread. "You have to fight it. We can't trust this." But Danny's gaze was glazed, lost. What if this is the key?" he murmured, captivated. "What if we can know everything?" With that, the glow from the book exploded in a flash, and the church shook violently. Sarah gasped as a shockwave knocked her off her feet, sending her sprawling onto the cold floor. She scrambled to her knees, vision blurring as darkness swirled around Danny, consuming him. "Danny!" she screamed, struggling against the chaotic energy. The shadows pulled tighter, threatening to swallow him whole. The world skittered on the edge of disintegration, reality cracking like glass. "Sarah, help me!" His voice was barely a whisper, distorted and desperate, cutting through the storm like a beacon of hope. Fueled by fear and love, Sarah surged forward, determination blinding her to the horror. Grabbing the edge of the book, she yanked it closed, her heart pounding as the light fought against the encroaching dark. "Get out! Now!" she shouted, her voice breaking through to him. With a final flash, the shadows recoiled as she slammed the book shut, the wind howling in protest. Silence shattered the air, echoing in the stillness as the chaos collapsed into a haunting quiet. Did we stop it?" Danny's voice trembled as he came back to himself, breathing heavily. But the shadows still lingered, crawling at the edges of their vision like a looming threat ready to strike again. "What was that?" Sarah whispered, her heart thudding painfully in her chest. "What did we awaken?" A slow, sinister chuckle echoed within the church, sending a chill racing up her spine. "You have only glimpsed the beginning of the truth." As they exchanged terrified glances, Danny felt a nagging sensation deep inside. A whisper of knowledge stirred but buried itself away in the depths of his mind. Could the shadows be just the start of something worse? What else remained hidden, waiting just beyond the surface, ready to break free? The silence around them felt heavy, pressing down like a lead blanket. Danny and Sarah stood in the darkness of the church, sweat cooling on their skin, breaths quick and ragged. Each heartbeat echoed ominously in the oppressive stillness, underscoring the sense of something profound and terrifying just beneath the surface. "Did you hear that?" Sarah's voice trembled, straining against the quiet. The echo of the sinister chuckle rolled through her mind like thunder. The shadows seemed to pulse with life, slithering at the corners of her vision as if eager to tell their own story. "I don't know," Danny said, rubbing his temples. His thoughts felt jumbled, as if the book had stirred something chaotic in his mind. "We should get out of here. Now." As he turned toward the door, a sudden crash resounded. The heavy wooden door banged against the wall, swings wide open as if pushed by an invisible hand. A gust of cold air swept through, stirring the dusty floor and wrapping itself around them like icy fingers. "What the?" Sarah's heart raced, pressing her back against the cold stone wall. The shadows twisted into elongated forms, clinging and shifting, pulling her gaze toward the entrance. In the dim light, a figure appeared. Cloaked and hooded, it moved with an unnatural grace that defied their expectations of reality. The air thickened with tension, and Danny felt a pulse in the back of his mind, a connection to the entity before them that sent fear jolting through his veins. "Do you believe in fate?" The figure spoke, voice smooth yet dripping with malice. "You have awakened forces far beyond your understanding." Danny's grip tightened on Sarah's arm. "What do you want?" he demanded, his voice steadier than he felt. This wasn't just about him anymore. He could sense that whatever this thing sought included Sarah too. "The book is but a key, a portal," it replied, stepping into the flickering shadows, a mere wisp of darkness itself. "It was your desperation that summoned me." "Desperation?" Danny's heart sank. "We didn't mean to, we just wanted to understand." "Understanding can be a terrible burden," the figure chuckled, each syllable thick with dread. "But you are not yet worthy. The price must be paid." Sarah's legs felt like lead, paralyzed by a primal instinct to flee. "What price?" she whispered, but part of her brain already knew the haunting truth. "Knowledge demands sacrifice," the figure hissed, its voice echoing around them, reverberating between the church's high ceilings. "Are you prepared to lose everything for a glimpse into the dark ideas that swirl within that book?" Danny swallowed hard. "No. I won't let you take her." Cocking its head, the figure regarded him with eyes that burned like coals behind the hood. "Then perhaps you will lose something far more precious, yourself." Before he could register what was happening, a surge of energy shot from the figure, slamming into Danny and sending shockwaves through him. He felt his spirit waver, teetering on the edge, the shadows reaching for him, wrapping tighter around his soul. "Danny!" Sarah cried, lunging forward, but the ground beneath her vanished suddenly, pulling her down into darkness. She screamed, grasping for anything, but it was as if the floor itself had turned into a chasm ready to swallow her whole. "Where are you?" Danny's outcry cut through the chaos as he stumbled, his eyes darting between the shadows and the swirling vortex that had engulfed her. Just as he fought to grasp the remnants of their connection, everything went black. Then, a flicker of light broke through the shadows of vision, a realization. "Together!" he shouted, words bursting from his lips. "We can't let it separate us." In that moment, the tendrils of darkness hesitated, and for the first time, Danny felt the shadows buckle, a weakness building where they had stood so invincible. Would their bond be enough to break the spell? The reality of their situation hung heavy in the air, blazing with a desperate hope. But as Danny prepared for one last stand against the abyss pulling them apart, the figure whispered one final word, leaving a chill racing up his spine. Fool. What would happen next? Could they escape the grip of darkness before it was too late? As Danny felt the last vestiges of light fade, a crushing sense of despair enveloped him. The darkness was thick, a suffocating void that threatened to pull him under. He was dizzy, like he was spinning, disconnected from reality. Panic clawed at his chest. "Sarah! Don't lose hope!" he shouted, his voice echoing like a whisper in a storm. In the depths of the shadow, he felt an almost luminous energy, a reminder of their bond. It flickered in his mind, her laughter, the touch of her hand, their dreams still woven together even in this nightmare. He reached for it, fought for it, praying that their hearts could bridge the chasm between the realms. "Danny!" Her voice pierced through, fragile yet fiery, battling the encroaching dread. He barely could sense where it came from, but it was enough. "I'm here. I can't see you. Hold on to me," he cried, feeling the pulsing energy intensify as he willed their connection to stretch across the dark divide. Together. For a fleeting moment, it felt like their hands might touch. He could almost feel her warmth through the cold, creeping shadows. But then, the sinister laughter of the hooded figure sliced through their moment of hope, a jagged knife that made Danny's blood turn to ice. "Love is an illusion, a fleeting thing," it taunted, the sound echoing like thunder in the hollow space. "And now you will experience what true darkness is." With a wave of its hand, the darkness swirled violently, dismantling the sanctuary of light they had clung to. Danny felt a tug within himself, as if the shadows were trying to claim pieces of his very soul. Memories of laughter, warmth, even their tender embrace were assaulted by the chilling whispers of doubt. "Leave her alone!" he shouted, fury igniting within him. "Your power won't bind us." But as he battled the shadows, he could feel his strength waning. The tendrils sought to drag him deeper into oblivion, posing questions he had never wanted to confront. Was their love strong enough? Were they destined to be torn apart forever? Suddenly, he saw a glimmer, an image in the darkness. Sarah. She was struggling, wide-eyed and defiant, reaching towards him. The light within her flickered bright against the overpowering shadows, a beacon of hope. "Danny!" she screamed, her voice unwavering. "Fight it! We're stronger together." Their eyes locked, and in that heartbeat, everything shifted. A warm wave surged through him, a recognition that transcended the oppression. It was the simple truth they had weathered storms before, faced fears that could crush lesser souls. This was no different, was it? In a fierce exhalation, Danny summoned all the love and courage within him. "We're not what you think we are. We refuse to be lost." With a sudden surge of defiance, he lunged forward into the depths, as Sarah did the same from her end. Their spirits intertwined as they surged to break the numbing grip of despair that had tried to swallow them whole. The darkness shrieked, wailing as though it could feel the power of their union. Flashes of emotion spiraled in wild bursts, love, anger, fear, each pulling them closer. Then, with one final, shared breath, they merged into a blinding light, an explosion of radiance that swallowed the darkness and sent it reeling back. Freedom shot through Danny's veins as gravity shifted, the very fabric of their reality bending to their will. But just as the darkness was about to dissipate entirely, the figure reappeared, its voice now a hiss that cut through the light. "This is not over. Your journey has just begun." The remnants of shadow twisted and writhed, refusing to disappear even as the light radiated around them. What had they awakened? What darkness awaited them now that they had glimpsed beyond the veil? As the echoes of the figure's words faded into the distance, a new dread seeped through the brightness that surrounded them. Something was still very wrong, lurking just out of sight. Danny and Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty resting heavily on their shoulders. What challenge lay ahead, and how could they prepare for an enemy they could not fully see? Their hearts raced, knowing the real battle was only just beginning as they, united, ventured further into the unknown. "What now?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Danny clenched his fists, determination sparking within him. "We'll face whatever comes next. Together." But even as he spoke, Danny couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something far more sinister awaited them beyond the light. Was the portal to darkness fully sealed, or had they just opened a door they didn't even know existed? The world around Danny and Sarah shimmered with an intensity that felt both fragile and powerful. Colors danced between the remnants of darkness, flickering like embers in a dying fire. Yet, the euphoric relief was short-lived. A haunting chill swept through the air, whispering threats that coiled around them with sinister intent. "Danny, do you feel that?" Sarah's voice was barely audible over the quiet rustle of dread. Her wide eyes searched the void, every muscle in her body taut with fear. "Yeah. It's like it's alive," Danny replied, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. Shadows lingered at the edges of their light, pulsating as if breathing, waiting for a moment of weakness. An ominous thought crept in. They weren't safe, not yet. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shrouded darkness, not the hooded tormentor, but something else, a creature festooned with glistening eyes that scattered light into a million points of color. Its movement was fluid, almost serpentine as it slithered forward, the light bending around it. "Welcome, brave souls," it hissed, every word dripping with malice. "Not many have dared to step beyond the veil of their reality. You should feel honored." Danny shuddered, the urge to recoil rising within him. "What do you want?" The creature's eyes glimmered with malicious delight. "Oh, dear boy. It isn't about what I want. It's about what you've unleashed. The darkness you thought vanquished is merely sleeping. A powerful force waiting for its time." "Shut up!" Sarah snapped, no longer the quivering figure but a fierce beacon in the night. "We will never yield to darkness." The creature chuckled, a sound that twisted Danny's stomach. "Such spirit! But you misunderstand, it's not just darkness you face, it's what you fear within yourselves." It paused, letting the silence linger, as though it weighed heavily around them. "You've both awakened the shadows of your deepest truths, it's time to confront them." Danny's mind swirled with memories long buried, failures and insecurities. Could it see them? His churning thoughts were interrupted by Sarah gripping his arm fiercely, grounding him. "We are not afraid," she declared, her resolve igniting the atmosphere. "Together, we stand." The creature laughed again, the sound rattling the very ground beneath them. "Together? Such a strong notion. But can you face the truth?" With a flick of a tail, the darkness erupted, shadows twisting and coiling, forming into shapes that reflected their fears. Flickers of past failures danced in front of Danny, lost opportunities, moments of weakness. His chest tightened as emotions flooded back into his consciousness, panic trying to snuff out the light. "No! This isn't real!" he shouted. But the images persisted, vivid and taunting, each one more painful than the last. "Danny, don't let them in!" Sarah's voice pulled him back. "Remember our strength." She turned to the darkness, her eyes wide, daring it to come closer. "We've fought harder than this. We've climbed every mountain. You think we'll fall to shadows?" An energy surged between them, a brilliant wave radiating from their joined spirits. Danny felt Sarah's warmth grounding him, the love they shared cutting through the chaos swirling around them. Suddenly, the dark figures froze, momentarily weakened. "Now!" Danny yelled, raising his hands to conjure their shared strength. Light exploded from within, cascading outward, scattering the shadows, banishing them back into the recesses of their fears. But just as victory seemed imminent, the creature lunged forward, its eyes ablaze with fury. "You cannot escape your truths for long. The veil is thin, and your reckoning is coming." In a flash, it vanished, leaving a lingering dread in its wake, the echoes of its words clawing at their minds. What truths were they hiding? What awaited them in the shadows they had yet to face? As the light settled around them, Danny and Sarah stood in silence, the weight of uncertainty once again pressing heavy on their shoulders. What shape would their darkest fears take when they got close enough to see them? The very question hung in the air. "Danny, what if we're not ready?" Sarah whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her confidence. Danny locked eyes with her, his heart racing, resolve tinged with fear. "Then we fight together." Whatever it takes. But even as he said the words, a gnawing doubt gripped him. If the shadows returned, how would they confront the truths they weren't yet ready to face? The air hung thick with tension, a tangible aura of unease weaving through the luminous glow around Danny and Sarah. They could almost sense the remnants of the creature's threat lingering in the atmosphere, a dark stain on their fleeting moment of triumph. Did it really leave? Danny whispered, scanning the shadows that played tricks on the edges of their vision. Sarah took a step forward, her chin lifted defiantly. It has to be gone. We fought it off. We're stronger than it thinks. The confidence in her voice was a fragile thing. Danny could feel the tremor beneath it, the cracks forming in her facade. A shiver ran through him. They could beat it once, but doubts whispered that the creature was just waiting to strike again. They turned slowly, taking in the landscape a world transformed by the light that they deconjured. Colors burst around them, yet the vividness felt deceiving. Could this realm shift again, returning them to the choking clutches of despair? In the distance, a low rumble echoed, a sound like thunder rolling through the sky, breaking the tense silence. Danny exchanged a glance with Sarah, each questioning what lay ahead. But before they could contemplate their next step, the ground beneath them began to tremble. Danny! Sarah cried out, fear bubbling over in her voice as she grabbed his sleeve. The earth shook violently, cracks spreading like lightning bolts across the ground. I don't know what's happening. Danny shouted above the noise, trying to keep his thoughts steady, but panic clawed at his throat. With a suddenness that took their breath away, a fissure opened up, and shadows spilled out of it, dark tendrils reaching towards them, hungry for their fear. Danny could feel the very air around them shifting, a suffocating weight pressing down on his chest. No! He yelled, stepping back, but it was like trying to escape quicksand. The shadows twisted and curled, morphing into images that cut deep into their hearts. Danny's eyes widened as he saw fleeting glimpses of their past, the failures, the regrets, moments he wished he could change, but worse still was the vision of Sarah crumbling under the pressure, her light diminished. Stop! You have to resist! Sarah urged, raw determination shining in her eyes. She squeezed Danny's hand, both a plea and a challenge. Fight it! It wants us to doubt ourselves. Together! Danny echoed, though his voice wavered. Heart racing, he focused on the bond they shared, clutching the warmth of her presence like a lifeline. He pulled from that energy, sending it reverberating through the air. But the creature's voice echoed in their minds again, you cannot escape your truths. As if to emphasize its point, a shadow lunged at Sarah, and Danny felt his heart lurch. No! He shouted, his instinct propelling him forward. He thrust out an arm, willing the light that marinated in their shared strength to shine brighter. A blinding flash erupted, illuminating the darkness, but the shadows retaliated, swirling with rage. They danced around them, clawing at their sanity with bitter whispers of inadequacy. Memories of lost moments surged, threatening to engulf them whole. Danny! Sarah cried, her voice breaking, fear bleeding into her courage. I want to let you go! He shouted. Gathering every ounce of will, Danny surged forward with her, the two of them becoming a fortress against the shadows. Light poured from them like molten gold, cascading over the darkness, forcing back its cruelty. Yet even as the shadows shimmered and twisted away, the fissure continued to tremble. A new roar echoed, more powerful than before, shaking the very foundation beneath them. What is that? Sarah gasped, eyes wide with dread as the earth trembled violently again. It's coming back! Fear clutched at them, raw and real, replacing their triumph with a gut-wrenching tension. What dark reality lay behind that growing sound? Just then, from the depths of the fissure, a figure began emerging, cloaked in darkness but radiating an allure that felt familiar yet terrifying. As its form materialized, Danny's heart sank. Danny! What do we do? Sarah's voice faltered, the shadows from before coiling once more at their feet. The figure grew clearer, a reflection of their darkest fears, and a sickening realization washed over Danny. They hadn't seen the last of the creature. Face it! He shouted, resolve hardening within him. We have to face whatever it shows us. But would they be ready for the truth it revealed? And could love and light shield them from their worst selves? As the figure loomed closer, shadows writhed at their feet, dark whispers echoing through the air its secrets just beyond reach, waiting for them to uncover. Would they stand together, or would the truth shatter their resolve forever? The figure was nearly upon them, a twisted silhouette that seemed to absorb the light around it. Danny's heart raced, pounding against his ribcage like a drum. He could hear it, his pulse, Sarah's shallow breaths, the oppressive silence asking for an answer. That silence was a pressure cooker, and the tension boiled over, waiting for a spark. Danny! We have to. Sarah's voice broke as the figure drew closer, dread etched on her features. He forced himself to take a deep breath, grounding himself. We can do this, he whispered, though the tremor betrayed him. They had come too far to succumb to fear now. Remember what we did before? It's all in our hands. The figure paused, unblinking, as if taking in the depths of their courage. Shadows danced dangerously, pulling at the edges of Danny's confidence. You think you can defeat your own past? It hissed, voice like rusted metal scraping against stone. You are defined by your choices, and they will haunt you forever. Danny clenched his jaw, letting anger ignite the flickering light within him. No! We want to give in to you. We're not trapped by our past. His voice rang out, fierce. Foolish children, you mistake dreams for reality. The shadows twisted around the figure, wrapping it in a cloak of despair. Every choice you made, every moment you let slip through your fingers, they belong to me now. Danny felt a sudden jolt, memories flooding back like a tidal wave. The hurt of letting friends down, the guilt of unsaid apologies. He glanced at Sarah, her face haunted by her own recollections. Fight it, Sarah! He shouted, desperate to pull her back from the precipice. We are more than our failures. The figure blurred, and an image flickered in front of them. Danny's past flashed like a film reel, snippets of dark choices and shadowy consequences that left him stricken with self-doubt. Yet, behind the shadows, he noticed something, a glimmer, a flicker of resilience, of hope. Danny! Sarah cried, as visions of her past intertwined with his, echoing pain that rang familiar but somehow infused with their shared strength. We have each other. We'll rise beyond this. Together, they gripped the incandescent possibility of light in their hands, sending it cascading outward. Tendrils of warmth broke free from their connection, illuminating the encroaching darkness. Stop! The figure screamed, its form quaking under the intense light they emitted. It writhed, a pained reflection of the doubts that had plagued them for so long. Shatter your own illusions! Danny shouted. We are not defined by what we've done. We are defined by where we go from here. With that, they pressed forward. Light exploded from Danny and Sarah, piercing through shadows like arrows, scattering dark fragments in every direction. The figure hissed, a critically wounded beast in a battle it never saw coming. Then it lunged, its hand reaching for Danny with an all-consuming grip. You want to face me? Very well. But can you face what I will show you? Danny's heart stopped as the shadows wrapped around Sarah, pulling her away from him. Sarah! His scream broke through the chaos, eyes wide with terror as he fought against the darkness. With each passing second, the light flickered. Panic clawed at his throat. No! I won't let you take her. Come to me, surrender! The figure crooned, voice dripping with venom. It shifted into haunting images of their worst fears lived out in vivid detail. A future devoid of hope. But Danny's resolve solidified. He was done running. Done hiding from the pain. Sarah, he gasped, believe. Remember who we are. The shadows hesitated, and for a moment, a crack in their illusion appeared, a glimpse of their bright future together. With that flash of understanding, Danny surged forward, channeling everything he had into one final burst of pure light. But as the shadows began to dissolve, the figure's last desperate howl froze the air. This isn't over. I will return. You can't outrun your truths. The darkness receded as panic jolted Danny into a fierce resolve. Heart thudding, he reached for Sarah, pulling her to him as the echoes of the figure faded into a low murmur. What just happened? She gasped, breathless and wide-eyed. Danny turned toward her, fear and hope swirling in his chest. It's not over yet. We've only just begun. But as the fissure sealed behind them with an ominous groan, Danny couldn't shake the dread that something worse lay waiting in the shadows. Would the next challenge unravel them completely, or could their bond withstand the weight of truth? The light began to fade, a shimmering remnant slipping from their grasp, and as the darkness settled back around them, Danny and Sarah stood still, feeling the dread pool around their feet like freezing sludge. An unsettling silence pressed in, an eerie reminder that the battle was far from finished. We can't let our guard down, Danny murmured, glancing around. The world seemed to hold its breath, shadows lingering like specters at the periphery of their vision. Sarah nodded, eyes darting nervously as they took tentative steps forward. But what if it comes back? That thing knows our fears. What if it finds another way to break us? Then we fight it, Danny said, his voice carrying a conviction he didn't fully feel. Together. We've faced it once. We can do it again. We just need to stay strong. As if summoned by their words, the shadows shifted, and with a flicker, an unsettling figure appeared before them, more defined and horrific than any before. Its face morphed into grotesque masks of their own past failures, taunting them with the weight of their bygone decisions. Each expression mocked and jeered, feeding into their insecurities. Danny felt his heart stumble in his chest as he stared at the figure, his mind racing. Fight it, Sarah, he urged as he stepped closer, determination fueling his next move. Remember who we are. With a resolute glare, Sarah clenched her fists, fighting against the pull of despair. I won't let it take hold of me. She took a deep breath, summoning the energy that existed between them, their bond illuminating the darkness around them like a shield. As they both closed their eyes and envisioned their strengths, each moment of victory, each laugh shared, and every dream still to achieve, they could feel the shadows tremble, vacillating in the presence of their unity. I'm so tired of being afraid, Sarah whispered, her voice steadying. I want to embrace every part of me, even the dark ones. That's it! Danny shouted triumphantly. We own our truths! They don't own us! With that, together they exhaled, pushing out the warmth of their connection, molecules of hope entwined in their hands. Tendrils of light shot from their fingertips, illuminating the room and scattering the shadowy figure's grotesque visage, a chorus of shrieks echoing as it writhed against the onslaught. Face your fears! Sarah screamed, and with her words they charged ahead, bringing the brilliant illumination forward. With a final surge, their light enveloped the creature, and with a gut-wrenching howl, it collapsed into darkness, fragments of shadow exploding in every direction. The echoes faded, swallowed by a rising silence that felt strangely liberating. As the room brightened, they could see it, an exit emerging from the shadows, beckoning them forward. We did it, Danny breathed, disbelief flickering across his features. We really beat it. But for how long? Sarah asked, her voice layered with uncertainty. What if it changes its form again? Danny reached for her, squeezing her hand in unyielding solidarity. Whatever it evolves into, we'll face it together. We've got each other's backs. As they took their first step toward the exit, the air shifted, a cool breeze brushing against their cheeks, full of promises of new challenges that lay ahead. We can't stop now, Sarah said with growing conviction. We've come too far to turn back. Let us find out what's waiting for us next. Danny nodded, a spark of excitement igniting within him. This doesn't have to be the end. It's a new beginning, Sarah. We'll uncover more truths, and this time, we'll be ready for the darkness. Hand in hand, they ventured out of the church, each footfall echoing freedom as they left behind the lingering shadows. The night sky loomed overhead, vast and filled with stars, a tapestry of endless possibilities stretching out before them. As they stepped into the fresh air, a hesitant wave of relief washed over them. For now, they had triumphed, but the looming sense that something was still out there whispered through the air. Together, they both echoed softly, holding on to their shared hope, ready to carve their path into a future just beginning to unfold. But they knew one thing for sure: the final battle lay ahead, and they would face it with every ounce of light they had gathered along the way. As the shadows receded into whispers behind them, they took one last look back, resolve hardening within their hearts. Whatever awaited them, they would confront it together, unwavering. Now is your turn. You need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and keep this story alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. What did you think about the ending? What's next for Danny and Sarah? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Show your support, it matters.